Wow, this year's wild games, huh? Talk about shaking things up in the fantasy forest world.
You said it. It's like every event is stirring up some kind of debate.
About what it even means to be a true athlete.
Right.
Like, what's fair?
What about all those traditions? Are they still relevant?
You can really see how these games hold a mirror up to the fantasy forest. All its complexities, you know?
Exactly. Take the Great Hollow Arena. I mean, they didn't just pick any old stadium.
It's carved right out of that ancient tree, the oldest one in the whole forest.
It's like a symbol, isn't it, of like history.
Definitely. This interconnectedness of everything.
And that diversity is where a lot of these controversies come from, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. Look at the leaf dash.
On the surface, it seems simple enough.
Yeah, a race. Squirrels, super fast, up against hedgehogs.
Who, of course, roll themselves up into little balls.
But cover that track in leaves and, well, things get complicated.
You've got those hedgehogs claiming the squirrels are cheating, basically.
Using those big bushy tails to, like, catch the wind. So is it clever? Or is it breaking the rules? Huge debate.
It's like, what even is fairness when you've got such different creatures competing?
You've got the purists who say, no, a race is about pure speed, no tricks.
But then there's the animal activists saying, hold on, hedgehogs just aren't built for this.
The whole thing becomes a philosophy lesson.
And it's not just the leaf dash. Remember that Antelope Limbo upset?
Oh, yeah. Picture this. The final round.
Gazelle, graceful as anything, dipping under that branch.
Panthers, somehow contorting itself to squeeze through.
And then Rhino.
And it wins.
Can you believe it?
I mean, who expected a Rhino to be a limbo champion? The crowd went wild.
It made everyone wonder, what is limbo anyway?
Right. Should there be, like, weight classes?
Or maybe height limits. Some folks even said, is limbo even a sport for everyone?
Gets you thinking about how we define competition, huh? Level the playing field or just adapt?
Makes you wonder if some events are just naturally biased towards certain body types.
And it's not just the limbo, is it? Even snake wrestling is stirring things up this year.
Not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Two snakes going at it.
All about strength, skill, tying each other up in knots.
But then Slitherio, that boa, refused to wrestle.
Just slithered out of the ring.
Right in the middle of the opening match.
His argument, snake wrestling is all about toxic masculinity.
Outdated tradition, he called it. No place in the modern world.
Talk about a bold move. Some folks loved it, said he was brave to stand up like that.
Others called him a coward. Said he was ruining the spirit of the games.
It really sparked a conversation, though. Can you change a sport to reflect those changing values?
Without losing the heart of the competition, you know? It's a debate we're seeing everywhere these days, even in the real world.
And we're just getting started. Beetle Polo is having its own issues. Scoring system seems to favor the bigger beetles, leading to calls for a total overhaul.
Even swan diving, usually all about elegance and beauty, is facing backlash.
Some say it's basically a beauty pageant now, more about looks than skill.
It seems no sport is safe from scrutiny anymore. Times are changing.
That's just a taste of what's happening at these wild games, and we're going to dive even deeper, so get ready.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? About ourselves, I mean.
Yeah, it's like you can learn so much just by, you know, watching these games.
Like looking at a miniature version of our own society with all the same issues, you know.
All those triumphs, but also the struggles and trying to figure out, like, how things should change.
And it's not just the athletes themselves driving those conversations. You've got the commentators, even the fans.
Yeah, they all play a role,
Yeah.
creating the whole atmosphere of the games, don't they?
The Owls this year, I've been so impressed.
The commentary has been amazing.
They're not just calling the plays, you know. It's like real analysis.
Yeah.
Deeper meaning.
It's true. They bring in all this historical context, even philosophy sometimes.
And a little bit of humor, too. Keeps things interesting.
Where else are you going to hear an owl, like, break down a squirrel's jump while quoting ancient proverbs?
It's pretty unique.
And then you've got the rabbit track marshals. Talk about a high-energy job.
Zipping all over the place. Got to keep things running smoothly.
Think about it, trying to wrangle a bunch of competitive beetles or, like, calm down those rowdy bears.
Not easy. The rabbits are the unsung heroes, really.
Definitely. Always with a smile, too. But it's not just the officials. The crowd, I mean, wow.
Creatures of all shapes and sizes, predators sitting next to prey, all cheering together, It's amazing.
It's kind of a reminder that sport can bring everyone together, right? Even in a world as crazy as this one.
Absolutely. Common ground, you know.
Speaking of which, what about some of those events that maybe didn't make the big headlines this year?
Oh, there's so much going on. The butterfly synchronized flight competition is always a favorite.
Oh, it's stunning to watch.
Pure magic.
I read somewhere that they communicate through, like, tiny wing vibrations. It's incredible.
A secret language. Allows them to move in perfect unison, like a living kaleidoscope.
Then there's toadstool ring toss, always a crowd pleaser.
The frogs, launching those vine rings.
Trying to land them perfectly around those giant toadstools.
It's tougher than it looks. Got to factor in the wind, you know. Those gusts can really change the game.
And how about the spiderweb weaving competition? Talk about artistry.
It's both art and engineering. Each web is a masterpiece.
Those judges, a bunch of entomologists, they have a tough job.
And speaking of often overlooked creatures, have you seen the slug relay race?
It's become a real fan favorite.
It's not the fastest event, that's for sure.
But it's about perseverance, right? Teamwork.
Each slug pulling its weight. Literally.
It's heartwarming to see. Those underdogs really capture your heart.
Proves that there's a place for everyone in these games. Doesn't matter your size, your speed, what species you are.
Exactly. It's about finding those unique strengths.
Contributing to something bigger than yourself.
And that's just a small sample. There are so many events, so much to see, something for everyone.
Whether you love those high-speed chases or feats of strength, artistic displays, or just those moments where creatures defy all expectations.
It's a true celebration of, like, the amazing diversity of the animal kingdom.
How each creature has found its own way to thrive in this world.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore. The legacy of these games, their impact beyond the arena.
That's where we're headed next, so buckle up. We've seen some amazing things at these wild games.
Incredible athletes pushing their limits.
We've talked about all those debates, those changing values.
It's been quite a ride.
But now I'm thinking about, what happens after the game.
The legacy, right? What's the lasting impact?
Exactly. It can't all just disappear once the crowds head home.
You're right. The wild games, they leave a mark on the fantasy forest in so many ways.
So how do they shape things, beyond the actual competition?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that sense of community. Yeah, like imagine creatures from all over the forest, different species, different ways of life.
Coming together.
Right. To celebrate, to share in these traditions.
It's like a giant family reunion.
You could say that.
Hopefully with less drama, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's also about inspiring the next generation.
Oh, the young ones watching their heroes.
Exactly. Seeing what's possible. Dreaming of the day they get to compete.
And it shows them that, there's a place for everyone.
That's so important. No matter your size, your speed, your species even.
There's a place for you.
Right. You just got to find those unique strengths.
Speaking of unique, remember all that controversy about the squirrels' tails and the leaf dash?
Oh, yeah. That was a big one.
Well, it actually got people thinking.
About, like, animal aerodynamics.
Yeah. Like, how do different creatures use what they've got to get an advantage?
Suddenly everyone's a scientist, right?
Maybe next year we'll see squirrels with little helmets or hedgehogs with wings. Who knows?
The point is, it sparked innovation. Made people look at things differently.
And it's not just the science, right? Remember Slitherio's protest?
Snake wrestling?
Oh.
Absolutely. That got everyone
Well,
talking.
about whether those old traditions, are they still, what we want them to be?
Can you change a sport? And should you? Tough questions.
It makes the fantasy forest rethink what it values, what it really cares about.
And that's a conversation that reaches far beyond the games themselves.
And, of course, there's the economic impact.
Oh, the wild games are huge for the local economy.
All those visitors, they need places to stay, food to eat.
Keeps all those businesses busy.
Souvenir stands, the artisans selling their crafts. It's a whole ecosystem, really.
Definitely. Brings a lot of attention to the fantasy forest, creates jobs.
But maybe the most important thing, the biggest takeaway, is that message about diversity.
Yeah.
In a world that seems to want to focus on, on what divides us.
These games do the opposite.
They celebrate those differences, show what each species brings to the table.
It's about collaboration, mutual respect, working together, even when you're competing.
The wild games, they're about so much more than just, winning and losing.
They're about bringing people together, inspiring change, showing what's possible when we embrace all those different perspectives.
Well said. And that brings us to you, Listener's name. We want to hear from you. Imagine you get to design a new event for the Wild Games.
Oh, that's a good one.
What would it be? What amazing animal ability would you showcase? What are the rules? What makes it, uniquely challenging?
Let us know your ideas.
We'd love to hear how you would contribute to the magic of the Wild Games. What lessons would you want the world to learn? Keep exploring those ideas, keep asking those questions, and remember, whether it's the Wild Games or our own world, there's always something new to discover.